I can't yell because everyone is sleeping, but this book is not Hello Beautiful. This book is Hello Selfish. First of all, Julia, what the heck is your problem? I admire her go-getter attitude, but she is a selfish. How are you going to tell me that you have a man and he's going through depression and all you say is he left me? Had Julia loved the man, of course, this is like unacceptable, but Julia did not care. This guy was gonna unalive himself. He attempted it and she did not care. She was mad that he even tried it because how did that make the family look? She didn't even care that he tried to unalive himself. The audacity of Julia acting offended to me was mind blowing. I don't know how anybody has the audacity to act shocked for someone that they didn't even care about, someone that didn't even know nothing about, someone that they admittedly say they didn't even want to know more about him. To me, she just worked him like a rag doll, and as soon as she got pregnant and was too busy to boss him around, she dropped him like a hot potato. As far as William, I'm not saying that he was in the right to not have a grip of his life because I'm one to believe that it's everyone's responsibility to be in control of their spiritual or their emotional evolution. But the only reason that William does not piss me off is because he is not selfish. And you might not understand what I'm saying when I say that he left his family. You'd feel, what? Is that not selfish? He was writing on his manuscript that he was not enough, all these depressive thoughts. And his wife read it, and this is what his wife thought. Julia had wanted to be married to a college professor. She'd had secret aspirations for William that he would be a college president in his later career or perhaps even run for public office. These aspirations had disappeared after she'd read his book, though. She realized then that there was something wrong deep inside him. And you think, oh, well, she realizes this. She's going to want to be there for her husband. After all, what kind of man would type the words, I'm terrible on a page? Which meant he would never be successful. She hadn't wanted to know who William was for a long time. When her husband came home after being out for the day, she never asked him where or who he'd been. Then she goes on to say, he's not ambitious. He never knew what to do, so he wanted me to give him instructions for everything big and small. I'm a fast walker, and he's slow. I thought I needed a husband because that's what we were told as little girls, right? Or maybe not told, but shown. It didn't occur to me that I might be better on my own. I was carrying him, Sylvie. And this is what I say. Good for her for realizing she doesn't need a man to to do things on her own. Good for her. I love that about her. But she does not care how depressed her husband was. She does not care. He left, which was wrong because he didn't want his family to have to deal with his sadness. He didn't even know what was going on with him. Let's move on to Cecilia, which is one of the sisters, one of the four sisters. I could not stand her just as much as I couldn't take Julia because anytime anyone came to her telling her something, saying they were sad, no, you're not. How could you? And then she would make it about herself or about the sisters and not about the person who's going through shit. I wanted to so bad. Rose, which is the mother, I'm just gonna say she's wrong. Everything she says to me, she's wrong. But for some reason, I don't dislike her. I think I have a little bit more empathy for her because I know that she's older. She comes from an older generation, so Sylvie, who ends up marrying William, and Sylvie is Julia's sister. She's one of the Padavano sisters. Girl, look, it's a tough situation because you want to be loyal to your sister, but you also know that your sister does not give two hoots about this man. Just almost unalived himself, and your sister does not even care about this man. Your sister did not even know that he had a sister that had passed away during childhood, and that's the reason why he doesn't know how to deal with these emotions or how to even be a father. Sylvie takes the time to read his manuscript. Sylvie knows that something is not wrong with him. She falls in love with him. But then she feels, what am I doing? My sister is gonna disown me for life. I don't, how, I don't feel bad for Julia. I don't feel bad for Julia. I'm like, how do you feel bad for a selfish who doesn't even care about her husband? I don't. And lastly, Emmeline, I like her because she's what starts, I feel, the honesty in this whole family dynamic. I feel like back then it was a shocking way, but I like her for it. I don't know what I give this book, a 3.5 or a 4. And the reason for that is because it is a good book, but it pisses me off that there can be so many selfish people in this book. And I'm like, is it because it was in the 80s? Is that the reason why? Their emotional intelligence is like, ugh. Their emotional awareness is just terrible. I guess just part of me finds it really hard to believe that people with such crappy mindsets could exist. Just people who were so oblivious to the people around them in terrible ways. You know, we may not always know what's going on with a family member, but that to me was just ugh. And I don't know if that's part of the reason why the way they resolve it would probably make it a 4. But let me just say, Julia, I didn't like you towards the end of the book. Not even the end made me like you. Nothing makes me like you. I do not like Julia. I do not like Julia, but it's a very interesting read, very interesting story. It's not very often that I read a book about a sister falling in love with her sister's man and not feeling bad for the other sister. So 4 out of 5.